Redbird Landscape Design. I'm Anissa Turner. Here in the vegetable garden, we're going to discuss something that's super important and a lot of people are jumping on board and have been since the pandemic. We're going to talk about seeds. Hold on tight and we'll get right to it. So seeds are super important, obviously. It's how we're going to grow our own food. Even the farmers who use seed put it down to grow their wheat and hay fields, soybean fields, corn, the whole gamut. So getting real good quality seed is super important. I've gone the way of using heirloom seeds from those types of suppliers. So let's start with the basics. We've already gone over this in some other videos. Is start off with high quality soils so you are successful in what you're trying to do. Seed won't grow in the wrong place with the wrong amount of moisture, with the wrong type of lighting. Most vegetable beds, vegetable gardening, want to get at least 6 hours of sun. What you want to do is make sure you're planning out your garden beds, make sure that you're planting for the right time of year, and watching your first frost date. You can get things in the ground now. It's 1st of September and I'm in Florida. I've got 3 months, maybe a little bit more, before my first frost date. So that means when the cold air comes in and your frost can kill down your very tender vegetables, soft vegetables that may be still growing in your garden. So make sure you're planting back from that frost date. Next point is when you're actually physically putting the seed into the ground. If you're planting directly, direct sow, rather than planting in a conditioned or a controlled environment like a greenhouse, and you're starting plants and they're called starts, then you'll transplant those into the garden. What we're doing today is direct sow. So when you're planting seeds, you want to put it in the depth to not be too deep. You don't want to go any deeper than the width of the seed. This is a pumpkin seed. So I'm not going to go any deeper into the ground than this 1/2 inch of how wide the seed is. If I go any deeper, the seed's got to work so much harder to push up through all that soil, find the sun, and do its thing, sprout out the roots and the top growth. So there's a pumpkin seed. They're quite large, quite wide. This is a pea, a bush pea, I believe, here in Florida. Does really well here. Again, plan for your area. This is a melon seed. This guy is going to be even shallower into the ground, and oftentimes they need to be put into a hill. So they're pretty narrow in their width. So all 3 different seeds there are going to have different planting depths. So just pay attention to the width of the seed. Don't go any deeper than the width of the seed. Taking it a step further, here's some seed that's even little teeny. It's called purple people eater. These guys, it's a plant. It's got a beautiful flower on it. Like, look how tiny those are. You barely put them into the ground if you're planting in the beds or in a pot. You want to just sprinkle very lightly your soil on top, whether it's these or otherwise. You don't want to smash down and hard pan the soil, because then again, the seed's got to work so much harder to get up and through and find the sun so it can begin to grow and germinate. Another tip, make sure you're watering properly. If the seeds dry out or desiccate, they won't thrive and grow. They'll be done. So make sure the watering is on a regular schedule. If you're getting rain, don't overwater. Hopefully you won't get a crazy amount of rain and then you get to watch your seeds rot. It's a daily task. You got to come out first thing in the morning before you go to work, before you start your day, whatever the schedule is. Come out and take a look and do scouting. That's looking for pests and diseases. You come in day and your spinach looks fantastic. The next day it's got 1 million little holes in it. You probably have slugs. So take a look around, scout, looking for any pests and diseases and insects, any other issues that may occur. If you catch it early, most often you can stop a big problem ahead of time. A very important part of planning out the garden is the orientation, how you situate your garden beds towards the sun. So you want it to go a north, which is that way for us, south orientation. If you go east-west, it's not going to get the same amount of sunlight. So here's my garden bed as a north-south orientation. The sun's coming up behind me. So it's coming up, going to peak up very top. So far, this plant and garden bed plants and garden bed have received a full maximum amount of sun. And as it comes back over and crests, it hits the peak at noon or 1 o'clock, whatever it is. It's coming down, descending on the other side. Now the plant's got complete full sun exposure. If you go east-west, it's coming up here. Okay, so these plants on this end of the bed, they're doing all right. But if there's something shorter on this side of the bed, the west side, you're going to cast a shadow. From the east side, we'll send a shadow back out and shadow out your bed on the far side. So these plants over here are going to be stunted and slower growing. It may not do as well. I have a planner. I should have brought it out and showed you all. I'll get a still shot for you. And it really helps me to know, gosh, what did I plant last year? What did well? And you put notes down, right? It's just like a diary. So once I finish planting, I tag it. So this is a Burpee tag, another seed provider. I don't use them very often. No offense, Burpee. So you can write on them on the blank side with Sharpie markers. These are the best to use because they don't wipe off and they won't disappear on you. Here's one that I did last year. These are sticks, go in the ground, they're fantastic, I like these. You can write on it melon and it doesn't erase, right? So you don't come out a week later, you've tagged everything, which I've had happen, used the wrong marker, and I don't know what anything is until it comes up, and hopefully I can identify it. So Sharpie markers, tags, it just makes life so much easier, and you remember what you planted and where you planted it. Another thing to remember is when you're watering, do uniform watering, which means cast the water across the entire bed at a good rate. If you're hand watering, I like to do it. That way I know what's going on. I can do my scouting as well. And I know I'm not puddling or flooding out one plant versus another, and everybody's getting the right amount of moisture. Now, how are you going to actually place the seeds in the soil, in case folks don't understand that? You can literally use your finger, because most seeds that I've shown you, they're not very big. They don't need to be dug down with a shovel. You don't need like a hand shovel with a long handle on it. You could use a trowel, depending on your area and what you're growing. Most often not. I have sandy loam that I've created now in my soil beds, or in my vegetable beds. You can use the end of the pick and just run a little furrow. Something that I've forgotten to do a couple times with my beans, and shout out to Allison Turner, my mother. She helped me remember that when you're planting beans, sometimes they need to be soaked in water. Important thing to do is to remember to read your seed packets. These seed packets are from one of my go-to seed companies out in Arizona. They're independent, heirloom seeds. They don't do GMO and crossbreed, get you any kind of weird funky seeds. My success rate with these folks has been stellar. Just about, I'd say 99% of what I put in the ground grows. Terroir, I hope I'm saying your name right, Terroir seeds. Let me zoom in here so y'all can see that. Fantastic company. Okay, so I'm going to show you a close-up view of how to actually plant. I did mention pumpkin seeds and things that like to be put into a hill. So in this bed, I'm just going to mound up the soil, just like so. All right, and once I'm done, I will water it in really well. Pumpkins like to be up in a mound. So what we do is, remembering no wider, don't plant any deeper than the width of the seed. So we're just gonna kind of rest that in there like that. You can see he's just right there. And we'll put one over here, space them out. Watch your spacing guides, it will always be on the back of the seed packet. Or you can look it up online, and we'll put one more here, usually about 3 to a mound. Tap it in, and then just take some soil, gently put it on top. Don't pound it down, don't mash it down. And you just gently put it on top, just like that. And then I'm gonna come in and I'll gently water it in. And then you'll have sprouts coming here, here, and here. Another part of the whole seed planting and idea of growing your vegetables is seed storage. This is a kit that I got online. I'll put the link in the description box below. Hopefully I'll be able to find it. It's just a great way. It's actually a picture box that you will use to separate all your pictures, your photos. And we're just doing seed storage. You can label them if you want, but this is how, see, another Terroir seeds.
This is how I store my seeds. And I'm putting things together, radishes, greens, lettuces, cucumbers, have different variety. Here's another way I've made a seed packet. You fold it over and tape it. The whole point of seeds storage is to be cool and dry. If they're not cool and dry, the chances of you growing molds and mildew are pretty high. So make sure that your seed storage is always in a cool and dry environment. Otherwise, you could end up with molds. The viability or the opportunity for the plant to actually grow, the seed to sprout, will be diminished greatly. So many places can still take on a very late, obviously we're in September, fall garden and pushing on into the winter months. In various southern climates where I am in Florida, this is the time where a lot of gardeners are really getting their beds prepped and ready to go, because through the winter, fall, winter months is when we can really get a lot out of our crops, because temperatures have dropped. We're not through our massive rainy seasons, which is just about ready to finish up. And that's know your climate, know your area. I'll put in the description box below a link for the University of Florida for those of you that are in the South in Florida, that they break it down from northern, central, and South Florida, because it's all very different climates. The zones change as well, and what you can plant in the month of September, October, November, and carry on through. So there's lots of information out there that can really help you be successful and understand how to garden, how to plant. You can literally Google a lot of things. How do I plant watermelon? And go from there. Okay, that's a wrap on seeds. Hope you all enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. If you've got any tips and tricks as well, make sure you put them in the description box below. I'll make sure that I put the information for terroir seeds, so sorry, I'm probably saying it wrong, in the description box below as well. Check them out. You won't be disappointed.